Alright guys, so I had a squirrel causing some havoc on my roof, and it was getting up there from the branches of an old walnut tree that had grown too close. So I went out and got this Worx 10-inch corded 8-amp pole saw. And the reason I chose Worx was I've had some of their stuff in the past, and I was previously pretty happy with the quality for the low price in general that they have. So I got this one. I also like that this one can be both a chainsaw and a pole saw, and since I have limited use for an actual pole saw, it was nice to have a 10-inch chainsaw as well. The pole itself appeared to be fiberglass and aluminum and was pretty sturdy. The chainsaw was also, I mean, it's a decently heavy chainsaw, and overall the quality seems pretty good. The teeth are sharp, have good spacing and whatnot. It also has an automatic tensioner, which works pretty well. The chainsaw goes on the pole pretty easily. It only goes on one direction, so you can't really mess it up. It was toolless, and I had no complaints as far as how it went on there. You do need some bar oil. You don't need gas, but chainsaws need bar oil, so you gotta put some of that in there. Decided to test it out on some white oak that I had from somebody's tree that got chopped down, and it cut through stuff pretty quickly. Here I'm actually cutting a log that's more than the 10 inches of the bar at the knuckle here, and it goes through it pretty well. I was pretty surprised. It has a very consistent torque curve, which will happen with a decent electric motor, but it was better than a lower end gas chainsaw as far as just being able to consistently and evenly cut through that. It actually was so even that I decided I'm eventually going to try tossing on like a 16-inch bar and see how it runs with that, and just check it out for fun. As far as actually using it as a pole saw, it does cut the branches off really easily and quickly. It is pretty unwieldy though. As a relatively strong person, I had difficulty keeping control of it all the time, and you can see here I dropped it, but it did fine hitting the ground. It was still working fine and didn't have any issues, but having basically 7 pounds of the 10-pound weight at the end of the pole and extended out 10 feet, especially when you're on a ladder on top of that, it can make it pretty unwieldy. So I would suggest, if you're not a relatively strong person or you're using it as a pole saw a lot, that you get a dedicated pole saw that doesn't have a chainsaw on the end, because that'll be a little bit lighter for you. But for me, I wanted to be able to do both. You can see though it pretty quickly cuts through the branches, and I found the best method was just to rest it on the branch and pull the trigger. I also used it to trim up some 2x3s on a fence I just built, and it cut right through them, including some 16 gauge nails in there with no problem. Overall, I liked the pole saw, and I liked that it could be split into a chainsaw. The only complaint I had was that it was a bit unwieldy, but it got the job done and more. I actually used it to cut up the rest of that oak. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment.